something like that. That's okay, I think. We should have some sort of very highly advanced skilled labor immigration coming here. But not to do the ordinary works in the factories or in the nursing homes or sweeping the streets or whatever.
استراحة قصيرة فابقوا معنا. أهلا بكم مرة أخرى إلى هذا اللقاء الخاص مع السيد ماتياس كارلسون، المنظر الأيديولوجي لحزب يميني متطرف في السويد، هو حزب الديمقراطيين السويديين. Mr. Karlsson, so many Western countries now, they are facing the same problem. Look at Britain, for instance.
Yeah.
It's an aging population country. Sweden also is an aging population country. Who's going to keep the country working?
But I also mean that you cannot only look at a human being as an economical being. We are so much more. We carry with us not only the ability to work, but also values, norms, culture, and all that comes with it. And you have to be very aware that to have the society to work, to be free of conflicts, you can't have too big differences within your society, because then you will get conflicts. Look at Northern Ireland. Look at the former Yugoslavian republics. Look at the problems you have in Egypt between the Christian Copts.
No, that's a completely different issue. I must say that has nothing to do with this. It's, Copts and Muslims are pure Egyptians, and it's not foreigners. It's just
but there you see people. The main goal here is identity. They have different identities. The Christian Egypts and the Muslim Egypts have different identities, and those identities clash. And that creates problems. And I don't see why we should build in that kind of problems in Sweden when we don't have to.
How do you propose to survive in a world that's coming closer and closer by the minute? How do you propose to redefine the relationship between Sweden and the European Union, for instance? Because I know that you have a very strong stance when it comes to that. How do you think?
I don't see Norway having any problem surviving. They're not a part of the European Union. I don't see.
It's a very rich country.
I don't see Switzerland falling apart and going to poverty.
Sweden is not even half as rich as Norway. It can't just play solo. It has to be in the European Union.
No, it doesn't have to be in the European Union, but we have to cooperate, and we have to trade, and we have to discuss with our neighbors, of course. And we have to exchange ideas and innovations and all of that across the borders. That's not a problem. But we don't have to be part of a European Union where other foreign politicians are deciding what the Swedish people should do. That's a problem, and I think it's undemocratic. The vote of one Swedish voter becomes much less valuable when we are a part of a union consisting of, I don't know, several hundred million people.
In return, you get a lot of benefits of being one of a group.
No. Sweden is a net contributor to the European Union. We pay a lot of money every year to the European Union, to other countries. Money that we feel that we need here in our country to take care of the sick, and to take care of the elderly, to fight crime, to take care of the children, and a lot of things that you need to do in a society. We don't see any reason why the Swedish taxpayers should work and then send their money abroad.
Let's talk a little bit about foreign policy. Where do you stand on that issue? How do you imagine your part? Should you win the election tomorrow?
Yes.
How would you stand on issues like international relations, conflict between East and West, the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq. Where would you stand?
We want Sweden to take the troops back from Afghanistan, to make a withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Okay.
And it's connected to what I said. We're not only nationalists concerning our own country. We want every country to be able to rule themselves and to be respected. And we don't feel that Swedish soldiers should be in Afghanistan making war against Afghan people, because
So you think what the United States and NATO are doing there is wrong?
Yeah, I think it's counterproductive in many ways. I think it's only making Al-Qaeda and the radical Islamic groups grow even stronger and get more public support.
Where do you stand on the Middle East issue?
We want a two-state solution, one Palestinian state and one Israeli state. Concerning the details, I don't think it's up to us to say that the borderline should go exactly there or exactly there. But I think to have peace in the long term, you have to create a Palestinian state, and then slowly try to rebuild confidence between these two neighboring states, the Palestinian state and the Israeli state.
Yeah, well, the peace process is completely on halt now because the Mr. Netanyahu has said it categorically to the Americans that he's not going to stop the settlements. Where do you stand on the issue of settlements?
I think that that Israel should respect former agreements, but it's also it's a give and take process. I can also understand that the Israeli government is getting frustrated when they're constantly being attacked by missiles from Hamas and other things, and that they feel that there's not any peace process to speak about. There's no agreement, and that they are frustrated also that to have a counterpart that wants to eliminate Israel from the map. That's the goal of the Hamas movement, is to eliminate Israel completely. So I think that the extremism on both sides must end, and you have to slowly start to build respect. And if Israel really wants peace, I don't think it's a very good idea to continue to make this form of provocative actions.
Okay. We're nearly 9 years away from 9/11. But I have to say that some of your answers make it sound to me like it was yesterday.
Okay.
Was it yesterday, 9/11?
No, it was not yesterday.
Do you think with all due respect to the, for instance, the families of the victims and what the atrocities of 9/11 have caused to both sides, freedom-loving people everywhere in the world, have we done enough to come out of this rather bad atmosphere that followed in the immediate aftermath of 9/11 between East and West, Christians and Muslims?
I don't see 9/11 as that important in the relations between the Muslim world and the Christian world. It's not like everything was fine and dandy, and then came 9/11, and then everything went bad. The West and the Islamic world has had conflicts since the 7th century or something like that. What is often forgotten, for example, is that parts of Europe was also occupied. Now the Muslim world feel that the Christians or the Westerners are occupying their countries, in Iraq and Afghanistan. And as I said, I don't feel that's right. But what is often forgotten is that the Muslim world also occupied big parts of Europe for several hundred years, in Spain and Serbia and Hungary. And so there's been a very long history of conflict, and I don't see 9/11 as changing very much in that respect. It's more 9/11 I see as a product of that tension who's always been there between the West and the Islamic world.
Would you then build on this a feeling that we're still going into more potential conflict than reconciliation?
Yes, I fear that's the case, yes.
How do you imagine the world in, say, 20, 30, 50 years from now?
I feel that it will be a lot of civil unrest in Europe. A lot of conflict between the Muslim minorities, in the growing Muslim minorities in Europe, and inbred the Europeans, the original Europeans, so to speak. And if things goes really bad, that will have an effect also on the relations between the states, the Western states and the Muslim state, where the Muslim states they side with their fellow Muslims living in Europe, and that will create more tensions. I hope that's not the case, but I fear that it will be the case.
Right. Now, last bit of our interview, I'd like to focus a little bit on the upcoming elections in Sweden. How do you assess your chances, your party's chances in these elections?
I think our chances are very good. Our budget is far bigger now than it's ever been. Our public support is bigger according to the opinion polls. We have more access to media now than we had before. And we also have more. We have politicians who's been involved with politics for a longer period of time. We are not so new in the game anymore, so to speak.
Right. Lastly, if your party wins the elections in September of this year, and your leader, the leader of Sverige Demokraterna, Mr. Yemi Åkesson, becomes the prime minister, what do you think the first decision by him will be?
I think he will make 3 decisions simultaneously. He will restrict immigration. He will make tougher actions against crime, and he will raise the subsidiaries to the elderly, to the pensionists. These are 3 main election issues, and I think he considers them equally important.
Mr. Karlsson, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you for having me.